Welcome to, I guess this is the second go-round of Drawing with Dante. I'm Dante. Today I want to introduce the people that are here with me today. We have Hank on the far end, we have Kyle and Julianne, and then we'll probably have some other people popping in as we are moving along. So today we're going to be talking about the process that I use to kind of work through designing a costume for Blade and Soul. I've done a couple of costume designs, and we've had some entered into the game, so I'm going to showcase one of the sets that's currently in the game, and just kind of walk you guys through that process. So I guess without further ado, let's get rolling, okay? So one of the things that we do first off is we get together and we discuss what we're going to be doing with the costume, what kind of costume we want to do, and the theme and all those things that go along with that. And we'll get together with the brand managers and other individuals who are stakeholders in that process, and we'll discuss what kind of design we're looking for. And when we do that, we'll talk that over. We'll come to some type of design idea, and then I will get rolling on some roughs for that. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you just quickly a set of roughs. One of the things that we'll also do in that process first is we will start doing some research on ideas for the costume, and I'll go through and start doing some reference hunting. And one of the things, for this particular costume that I'm going to show you guys here, it's the Carnival costume that you've probably seen in game. And let me just go ahead and pop in aspects of that so you guys can see what that looks like, and we'll kind of show you that costume. And
so a little bit of background on this one. We were given the opportunity to create two costumes, North America one and an EU one.
Yes.
And this is the EU one.
Right.
I wanted to avoid the more stereotypical type of costume. So if you think of NA, it was like I didn't want to do cowboys.
Right.
I didn't want to do America kind of random crap. That one was a bit
and
more.
Julianne kicked this off too, so she's the one that got this thing started. So
Carnival was interesting because I think we started off looking at like more of the traditional European style costumes, right?
Right.
I remember back in our first costume contest, we had an entry that I really adored, which was kind of evocative of like stained glass, like the stained glass pictures that you would see in the chapels and everything along those lines. And that was the seed that we started with. And then we kind of built upon it. We started brainstorming ideas, and at the time, I think you suggested Carnival in like Brazil Carnival type of thing, and I'm like, holy crap, okay. I know we're that type of game, but still, you're like, no. You're like, no. We're talking about like the Venetian Carnival.
Right.
And I think that's where we kind of finally decided that was really what we were going with, because with the NA one, we also went with that historical bent with the flapper style costume.
Yeah, we did the 1920s, the Roaring 20s, right? Yeah.
So that was. I mean, this was a brainstorm process where we started with like kind of an idea or a concept. Both on a process of elimination where we removed all the things we didn't want to cover, and we kind of honed in on like ideas and elements that we did really enjoy. Yeah. So
and that's how we kind of arrived at this theme for the costumes. And so it was a process that we went through, discussing it with Julianne and other individuals that were involved in this, and this is what we kind of came to. And so we went through, I did some reference research just to find ideas for the costumes and start kind of wrapping my head around what the Venetian Carnival was all about and looked like and stuff. Because when we were discussing it, I'd totally forgotten about that one. The first thing that came to mind, like Julianne said, was Brazil. And it's like, oh, Brazil. It's like, yeah, Carnival in Brazil. So we quickly course corrected and got onto the Venetian one. And I went through and did some research on those costumes. And as you look here on the screen, you can see where I've included in my design sheet that those reference images for the dev team to kind of refer to as they were developing these costumes for the game. And so one of the things that we'll do is I'll do, after I've gone through my process of researching the outfit and whatnot, I'll go through and start doing roughs for that. And so I'll present a series of roughs for the costumes and present these to people like Julianne and others, and we'll then talk about those ideas and start to kind of narrow those down to what is resonating with people, and you know, we will make changes and tweaks along the way, and you know, once we kind of decided, oops, wrong one, didn't want to show you that first. Once we've kind of, you know, narrowed things down, then I'll go through and do a refinement pass on that. And at that point, I will then, you know, go back to them and say, okay, here's the results of the refinement pass. We'll make final tweaks at that point, and then I'll start working on the final. And so what I'll do at that point is, here's another set of roughs for the female Carnival outfits. And so you know, we'll go through that, like I said, and I will then start to work on the final. And once I start working on the final, I'll go in and I'll start with the design process, and I'll work on, you know, I'll go through and I'll first create my line art for that, which is this layer here, and I'll do a tight line pass. And you know, once I'm done with that, I kind of bring that back to them and make sure that everything's cool and everybody's, you know, on board with what I've done, and then I'll start adding in the color for that. And while I have that up, I'll have these reference images that I'm going to refer to, so that as I'm starting to kind of slap in color, you know, I have those images to fall back on. And so for me, because I don't really consider myself a costume designer, I relied heavily on imagery that I found to help influence the design direction for this costume and these set of costumes. And so I, you know, looked at patterns and materials and other costumes, and was very influenced by a lot of the images that you see here, and that's where we, you know, where I kind of came to this design. And so then I started adding in color, and in some areas, you know, you can see where I've put in overlaid patterns just to help give the dev team some direction as to, you know, how this outfit is going to look. But I also want them to feel like they have a stake in it. And so, you know, I'll put notes in, and I'll kind of be loose with my notes and just say, hey, you know, these are kind of ideas that I'm thinking about, you know, and kind of give them room to do their thing as well. So with this particular outfit, you know, I tried to incorporate a lot of these elements that I'd gathered in terms of the reference material, and included these in the sheet so that they can have these references to fall back on. And then I added my notes, which are horrible in my opinion, because I'm a terrible writer, but that's just kind of how, you know, how I go about doing this. And you know, for me, this was a new process as well. You know, I have worked in development before, but you know, I'm right there with designers and other artists, and I can talk to them directly. And in this situation, it's a little different. The dev team is over in Korea, and we're all the way over here in the US, so it's a little harder to have that kind of direct communication with the dev team. So the way around that is just to write notes as best as I can and try and convey my thinking on the design that I'm presenting to them. And so, I'll go through, like I said, and work through the design. I don't go into a lot of detail because, again, one of the things, we were working on kind of a tight deadline, so there's not a whole lot of time for me to spend on these types of things, given all the other stuff that I have on my plate. And so I'll try and present a design that I can get through quickly and get to them as quick as possible. And so this was the first design for the Jinn female. And originally I think we had talked about just doing, I think we were going to do one set for the Jinn male and Jinn female, and then we talked about doing a set for all 7.
All of them, yep.
And then
actually, if you go to your roughs, right? Because I recognized the.
So when we're in the roughs, you can see all these different ones here. They're all designed off of the template for the Jinn female, and the idea was just, we're going to pick one of these and kind of go with that for the costume design, right? But then there was talk about doing it for all 7, and so we tried to figure, okay, well, maybe we can do these for all 7 and have that work out. And then I think we heard that, well, that wasn't going to be the case, and so we're kind of like, oh, wow, we did all this work, and we had all these designs, and surprise, surprise, we later found out that they did all 7, which was really kind of nice to see. I'll just kind of show you a couple of the other designs that were in there that we did. This one right here was for the Gone female. And this is all a part of the Carnival theme. And then we had another one for the Jinn male. And I tried to kind of stick with a particular color palette. And as you can see, all my visual notes are here, and as well as my notes. And then we did the NA designs as well. Another artist before he left the company did roughs for that, but wasn't around to execute on the final design, so I picked it up from there, and I worked on that for that particular theme. And so we had the Roaring 20s, or the flappers, if you would, and so I finished that design off for that particular costume theme. So, again, it's kind of just a step-by-step process. I'm sure that everybody, out there, when they're working in this type of industry, whether they're, in development or on this side, the processes are probably fairly similar. There may be some variations on how you guys go about doing things, but it's kind of how we work through it, in a nutshell. Not too much, nothing too, out of the ordinary. It's just pretty straightforward.
Well, there's still some few things that you need to take into consideration.
Sure.
So if you could just jump back to your roughs.
Sure.
One of the things that I know that we talked about, and you probably doesn't think of you right now, but like the front part of the girl's legs doesn't have a skirt.
Right.
She has the skirt on the back, but nothing kind of
We
in the
purposely
front.
did that so that we didn't run into clipping issues from a development standpoint.
Yeah.
So as they were building the models, they were able to, do so without egregious clipping in the models, and the animators could animate them freely without having to worry about that. So that was a conscious decision that we made in the designs. You're not always going to be able to avoid that, but you do the best that you can when you're working through this process, and you try to be cognizant of those issues that could arise for the developers, and that's kind of what we talked about as well. We wanted to make sure that we minimized that as much as possible for them. But again, like I said, I tried to give them a lot of leeway to address those types of issues. So my notes, would basically, say to them, hey, this is just a suggestion. Maybe use something like this in terms of a pattern or whatever, and just kind of leave it to them to decide whether or not that's something that works on their end, or if it's something that influences a direction that they would go down. And so, again, I didn't want to make it seem like it was a mandate that it had to be done this way, and that way it feels a little more collaborative, when we're doing these types of exercises. So, but again, this is kind of the process that we're doing here when we get tasked with these types of projects. It's pretty fun. It's pretty creative, and that's very enjoyable. We've got some other stuff that we're working on. I think I have another set coming up next year.
Yep.
And we have another one that's in the works that we can't quite talk about just yet, I don't think, right?
Well, I mean, that I'm going to be very vague with that one, but I think, because with this particular process, we were focusing more on the design of the outfit and, taking in those design elements, incorporating it within something that works in a game environment, because you're translating that, what potentially would be a 2D image into a 3D image.
3D image, yes.
This year's costume was kind of focusing more on texture.
Right, exactly.
As opposed to form or function or anything like that. It was really just, because we spent some time earlier this year just going through Google Images and going down the rabbit hole of Pinterest and finding all the little things that would be
cool. Would be
really cool, because it was something that I wanted to explore, because texture, in a game dev environment, you have a flat piece that you can play with. You can put anything on it.
Exactly.
And a new Christmas costumes, it's flat, but it looks like it has a texture of knitted stuff on it. So
right.
For the upcoming exclusive costume that we designed in house, it was all about those beautiful textures that we wanted to bring across. So
now, do we have the in-game images that we want to show?
No.
Of these costumes? I think people have seen them, right?
Yeah, no, because we use them for our crowdfunding.
Okay.
Because the Carnival and funny story. Forgot about the peacock weapon skin.
Oh yes.
So when we had designed both of the costumes and submitted them to Dev, Dev came back to us and said, "Oh, by the way, we want you to give us a weapon skin." And so we're like, well, what weapon skin would work for both of them?
Right.
And I think it was something off the flapper costume that I said,
this would be
really cool to follow through.
But I think it worked across the board. You know what? I totally forgot about those.
Yeah.
I did not include those in here. I totally forgot about those. But those are, you're right, we did do that. We kind of used a peacock theme that would really kind of, it was more in line with the Roaring Twenties outfits, but I think they worked across the board, right? I think that the way that we designed those, they really worked well for both designs, and so that was kind of just a happy accident for us, if you would.
Well, I still have the peacock weapons.
Do you still have them?
Axe.
I still am waiting for my stuff. I have not gotten any of my in-game stuff yet, Julianne.
Awkward. I have the codes on my desk. Awkward.
Yeah, still. But yeah, those turned out really well as well. I think we were very pleased with the results on those. And again, when you see these costumes in game, I was blown away when Julianne first came to me and she kind of ran over real quick and she's like, "The carnival costumes are in game. Would you like to see them?" And I'm like, "Yes, I would like to see them." So she called me over and she showed them to me and I was just like, "Wow!" And she's like, "And they did all 7." I'm just like, what? Because we thought that they were only going to do 2, because they came back and said, no, we only wanted you guys to do 2 just for the gin, and then we would just propagate that across the other races. And so we were kind of like, okay, well, all right. But then to our surprise, they did all 7, and so we're really jazzed about seeing those. And
they did it really fast
too.
too.
They did them fast, and they look amazing.
Yeah.
They look absolutely amazing. I was just blown away. And that just really, I think that's a testament to that team over there. They're just really good with these costumes and the detail that they put in them. It's just amazing. Sometimes when I jump into game, and I'm looking at stuff, and I'll have to stop and just kind of go around the character and just like, and I'm in awe because the stuff that they just execute on is just really, really cool. And so when you see that stuff in there and just kind of, you're kind of taking it in, it's just really nice to see that kind of talent at work. And then of course, all of your designs that you guys submit are just amazing, and those designs that are chosen for, production for in-game, those are just awesome. And so,
so how long does it normally take for you to do?
So for me, it takes me probably about 2 weeks. I am a little slow, and so I kind of am a perfectionist at times. So I tend to take my time unless somebody's cracking the whip on me and saying, hey, we need these by a certain time, and then I'll try and expedite that process. But roughly about 2 weeks, give or take. Sometimes they run a little faster. And I think it just really depends on the design. It depends on, how long it takes for us to get to something that we really are happy with. And so that process, because it's iterative, we're going back and forth on things and discussing those things, and then I'll do a new iteration on the discussion that we had and making changes and tweaks and stuff like that. And so, that between that and sourcing images for reference, it can take, like I said, maybe about a week and a half to 2 weeks, give or take, and that's kind of the length of time that we devote to this process. And again, it really depends on the theme as well. Sometimes we'll get a theme that is not as ornate as, say, like Carnival, or I don't know, like if we're like an Asian theme, like Chinese armor or something like that, which would be very ornate, and so that would take a little more time to execute on. But for stuff like this, I think I took about 2 weeks on these, and of course the number of designs that you're doing. If you're doing them for all 7 races in the game, yeah, that takes some time. If you're doing it just for one and you're going to propagate that across the others, then not so much. I mean, that will go a little faster. But when you're doing for all 7, then you're trying to do things that are a little diverse, but yet share a theme and have some continuity about them. So it varies. It varies.
So do you prefer starting with a theme, or do you like an open concept of, hey Dante, we need a costume, go for your life?
I think either's cool, because I mean, on the one hand, if you kind of running with a theme that's already decided on, then that makes that it makes that time that you're spending trying to figure it out, you don't spend as much time on that. You already have an idea of what you're going to be doing, and then you can target your research towards what you want, and you can start going through that process, and then start laying down your roughs and getting those in front of people and getting that conversation started, and so you guys can start working towards the end result. But I think it's cool to do both, because again, you'll get some exciting themes. Like the Carnival stuff was really exciting, and that was great to explore, what that could possibly look like. And everything was kind of like a just a kind of melting pot of all these different fashions that you see here on the screen in terms of the photo reference. So, you know, like the train in the back of this one here, I really liked that, and I thought that would be great. It has the fur along the side, and I thought, oh yeah, that would be cool. So, I mean, that particular outfit right there was my base for this outfit. And then I went through and added some other elements to it, and I think, you know, that's how we got to the design here. And then just going through and kind of deciding on the materials and where those you know, what parts of the costume those materials were going to be applied to, and just kind of, you know, working through that process. So some things take a little longer. You know, you're trying to work it out in your head and figure out, you know, just what feels right to you and what you think people will like as well. And, you know, and you just kind of keep going from there. So, but yeah, I think both approaches are valid and can be extremely fun. So, you know.
Because I know that I normally come to you with the concept, or at least some sort of idea.
Right.
Like some of them were very, very broad. Like this one was, you know, I just want something NA specific and something EU specific.
Right.
Some of them were very, very specific.
Sure.
In that, like the pet.
Yeah.
Right. If you remember a couple of troves ago, we had the little fat unicorn pet. With the hair and everything, and I wanted to do a whole like My Little Pony version, like the full My Little Pony, or like My Little Unicorns, and all the different rainbow colors, like a mixture of the Care Bears with.
See, that would have been fun, right?
It would have been really fun, and I had this brilliant idea of all these different types of ponies. And regardless, I came to you and I said, we want a unicorn, but we don't want a traditional unicorn. We want a little fat unicorn, like the Nyan Cat. Like the Nyan Cat meets a little fat chubby thing.
Yeah, that was great. It was great,
and it was fabulous. And you had to have fabulous
hair, and you know, it needed to sparkle and shine, and so, you know, we did that, and I think the end result was great. When I saw it in game, I was just like, wow. Everett came over, he's like, hey, have you seen the unicorn? It's in game. And I'm like, oh, okay, the unicorn's in game. So went over and looked at it. It's like, and then I noticed, like, oh, wow. So they did another version too, because I'd forgotten there was like a base version, and then it was kind of like an ultimate version and stuff. So, you know, I kind of did like this one that had, you know, the rainbow hair and stuff like that. And then like, oh, we need a base version off of that. So they did one that had just a solid color, you know, on the hair and stuff, but it was very cool. So the next, the other pet associated with that, I just recently did orthos for that, and I added the ultimate form and the base form. You know, figured, hey, you know, if that's what they're doing, let me make sure to give them, you know, some ideas for that, and so did that just recently, and that was fun. So, but yeah, I mean,
Maggie's like, I really want to see it.
You want to see it? You
in-game,
walked
you
by
wanna
a
see it
couple of
in-game.
times when I was working on that. So you were just like, hey, what are you working on? I'm like, I'm working on this this pet concept. Notice how I'm not saying anything. It's like, well, don't give it away just yet. We'll
Still
let you
think
guys
that one
wait
was
to
a
see.
better concept than the Nyannycorn, but the Nyannycorn worked.
The Nyannycorn, that was cool. I like that one.
I said
It worked out.
I need like a full kit
Right.
of Nyannycorns,
Yeah,
like all the
yeah.
different colors and
Yeah.
The little penguin color tiles with just unicorn tiles.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the penguins, I mean, they kind of bounce, and then you've got the grumpy one, and they do the little butt jiggle as you're running through. Well, you can have your own slate of like My Little Ponies, but My Little Unicorns.
Are you gonna like set it up like the Seven Dwarfs? There's the grumpy one, the angry one, and the
Sleepy.
Oh.
Ooh, wait.
Okay,
I was
no,
gonna go more like honestly, I was gonna go more like the Sailor Mars or Sailor Moon type of setup. So you have the Mercury unicorn, and then you have the Mars unicorn, and you pull them all together, and they do their little thing. And then of course you've got the cat version. And,
They'd be all 7 colors in the rainbow.
Sure.
You know.
Oh, there we go.
You could do it like that, and that would be fun. You know, so everybody has variety. They can choose, like, oh, I like the, you know, indigo colored one, or, you know, I like the violet, you know, whatever. You could do that do it like that. Yeah.
I just have an image of a grumpy, like, unicorn cat just sitting in the corner somewhere.
Pink.
We have
I just want the emotions of all the unicorns.
Every
It's like a
color-
grumpy cat
we do have a
unicorn.
grumpy
One
cat.
color is each
Yeah.
emotion. You
Yeah.
have
Each one has a
the
different
red
emotion.
angry one and the green grumpy one.
Yeah. Yeah. Could do that. So yeah, I mean, that's fun stuff, man. That's fun stuff to do, and I think we have a blast when we get an opportunity to do that. You know, like I said, I've got another set coming up, and we don't know what that is yet. We haven't decided. I think internally we are going to ask you guys to kind of give us some ideas. So, but we won't start that until the first of the year. So,
Yep.
when that time comes around, we'll definitely get into that.
Those you guys, right? Not this. There's a
You want to be included in on that?
Yeah, you can be a part
Yeah,
of
you
it.
can be part of that. Yeah, no, absolutely,
I have
absolutely.
to sign an NDA first.
You will have to sign an NDA. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see, look at that. It's already done.
But wait, which? Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
you signed one for me as well, don't worry.
I'm using the same
Yeah.
one, I think. I didn't
You
wanna-
signed your soul away, dude.
Liter-
That's
yeah.
literally what we're
Exactly.
going to be selling.
So there's
Next
no
trove
soul.
is
Yeah.
Hank's soul.
Hank, we have your soul.
Pay to win,
Hank.
100% pay to win is Hank's soul. in
Oh
the
my
X-Men.
lord. Just has my face on it, a little bubble.
Yeah.
Seems very varying and
the Hank
want and
pet.
demand.
Just sad
Yeah.
Hank face.
Sad Hank.
Floating.
Sad Hank.
Just me pouting a lot. Like I didn't get
Pouty
12
Hank.
crits. I want
We
12.
should do like a little chibi Pouty Hank character.
Pouty
Oh
Hank.
my lord.
Yeah, that would be fun. You think that would be fun?
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I did have a question. So you know how you said you made like 7 sets, one for every race / gender.
Uh-huh.
How do you pick the variations of each? Like how do you decide like I want this one to look more of a particular style? I mean I could reference especially the carnival one. There's
Sure.
difference in every race and gender, but I don't know how you decided like hey I wanted I know specifically the Jin female one, they had it's like a large dress,
Mhm.
like a very I don't know how to describe it, but you
I
know-
didn't. So I just kind of randomly did it, right? I didn't have a formula for it. I wasn't very specific on it. Yeah. So like if we go back to these here, I think we kind of
Jump to
talked
the,
it over.
Jump to the male ones because there is a clear story on that one.
Yeah. So
Because
there.
as soon as we saw the one with the plague mask,
Yeah.
immediately we said that's the gone male.
Yeah, that one was
Like,
kind of decided on, right?
That was as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's the gone male. Because
Yeah.
all the rest were too kind of flim flammy,
Yeah.
flimsy, whatever. And I just saw
And-
that
and-
one. I'm like, that's him.
Yeah, and so I mean, like I said, I wasn't very. I mean, with the exception of that, I think as we kind of went through them, we started making some decisions as to which designs would go to which races, right? But as I was doing them, that was not my thinking. My thinking was more or less kind of what would be cool, what looks good, what's going to work overall. And so I think it wasn't until we had all of them and we were kind of looking them over, and at that point we started to kind of narrow down what was going to be assigned to or attached to which race. But I mean, that doesn't mean that, moving forward, that won't be taken into consideration in future designs. I mean, definitely, when you're looking at, say, like the Lin, you definitely start to think about how they're more playful. You want to do outfits that kind of reflect that personality.
Do not want Lin boobs.
Yeah.
You
So
have
you-
one in every summer variant though.
That's not designed by us. That's
Yeah.
for the creepy people.
Yeah. My Lynn character on one of her outfits, one of the bikini outfits, they give her little boobs, which is very strange.
Oh,
So, I don't play that character that much. But yeah, I mean, and then like for the Gon, obviously they have the more sexy outfits, What was that?
Lexi said she likes her Lynn boobs and she's not creepy.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay.
Sure.
For you, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that, right?
We don't judge
No, we
Yeah.
don't judge.
much.
For me, being an older, yeah, we got enough of that going on right now. You don't need any more of that. Sorry, no politics here, but
Oh boy.
okay. Shame on me, bad Dante,
Right.
for taking us there. But yeah, like I said, I think that it really depends. Sometimes, we're thinking that way, in the beginning. Sometimes that comes afterwards. So. It just varies.
I was curious about that because there's always that feeling of a luck of the draw. Hey, this new outfit came out.
Sure.
What does it look like on my character?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I don't remember a specific example off the top of my head, but I know the gold dragon outfit. Like I don't know. I know it's not like in your specific field, but like I like it on Gons, not on Jins, and I'm just like, all right, who do I talk to about this?
Yeah.
But
Who I talked about changing this is like, look,
I'm not switching races,
Yeah.
just switching outfits for
Yeah.
me. Okay?
It was like
You
we had,
designing
we had
my
a-
outfit.
We had an outfit that we released recently where it was one color, one style on every other race, but it was a completely different color and style for the lens. Like I think it was blue and white on
Yeah.
everyone else, and it was yellow and black on the lens. And we were like, these are completely
Who
separate
makes those
costumes,
decisions, right?
Yeah.
I've noticed that too in the game. Like I'll go through and I'll look through just the different costumes, right? And you're going down the list, and you're looking at it, it's like, because like my main character is a Yoon Blade Master, and so obviously like Hank, I want to see what the costume looks like on my character first, right? But then I'm curious to see what it looks like on other characters, and so I'll go through the list, and you're right. When you come to the Lin on some of those outfits, it's just like everything's consistent until you get to the Lin. And all of a sudden, it's like the proverbial record scratch, right? And
Yeah.
you're just like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? Wait, what is this? And it's completely different from everything else, that you've seen. So, I don't know. I don't
Link
know how that
shorts.
works out on their end.
A lot of these projects just develop as they go. So like,
Yeah.
I guess this kind of also goes back to your original question, which was a lot of times there is some sort of a plan in what you're like trying to create. But a lot of times what ends up coming out in the final product is just something that evolved through the
Exactly.
process.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like as you were making it, like there are just a lot of times where I'm like, I'm not thinking about, this scene from a perspective of trailer editing.
Yeah.
I'm usually not thinking, this scene's going to go into this scene, which is then going to go into this scene. I'm going, what in the world is going to make this look cool?
Exactly.
And I'm like, I can just throw this here.
Yeah.
And then like as I start to see something that works or looks funny, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, maybe I can use this to comedic effect.
Exactly.
And then things just fall into place.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
a
just
very
gets better.
organic process, right?
Yeah.
And so, like you said, those decisions as you're moving through something, design or like you said, editing, they evolve along the way because you, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create something that is compelling to the viewer, and so ideas will come into your head and at the 11th hour, and you're just like, this would look really cool. I was doing this, but let me try this instead. I mean, everybody out there who does art or any type of creative, or is in any type of creative field understands that, and so that's just a part of the process. It's a very organic process. Sometimes you have some mandates for particular things, but even within those mandates, you have a lot of room to kind of just explore some different things. And as artists or creatives, we tend to just allow ourselves to kind of navigate through those waters organically and just kind of go where things take us. So yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that completely. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's it. I mean, we can open it up for questions, if you want. I don't know, how does that sound? Or
I think we're at time now. So
okay,
Oh, wow.
perfect.
we're perfectly on time.
See, look at that.
Nailed it.
Good conversation with people, and yeah. I
Maybe
like
it should
that.
maybe it should be called Drawing and Tea with Dante.
Drawing and tea.
Yeah.
Drawing and tea. So, yeah, we could do that next time.
Yes.
I'll bring the tea.
segment,
I
I'll
have
You'll bring the
that.
tea?
on my face.
Okay,
Right.
cool. Well, then, I
First
mean,
segment, I didn't get anything on my face this time.
nice. We'll do
Good
that.
start.
We'll do that. Awesome. Well, then I guess, with that said, we'll close it out then. We'll wrap this up for the day, and we'll start by thanking our cast. And we'll thank you, the viewers, for, joining us on this. This nice long day for you guys. It's been fun as usual. I also want to thank our guests, Hank and Virus, for showing up and hanging out with us today. Always great to have these guys around. Julianne and Kyle for hanging out with me for this segment. It's always good to be here, with others, so that I'm not just sitting here fumbling by myself. And then, just again, thank you guys for watching this entire day, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Go ahead and why don't you follow us on social media, Blade and Soul, and check out our videos there and whatnot. And again, I just want to thank all you guys for joining me on this, I guess, second go round or third go round. Is it third for me?
Third for you.
Third, okay. Third go round of Drawing with Dante, huh? Oh God. I haven't gotten used to that yet. So, and I think this is the second Drawing with Dante that we've done, actually. So we've done
You got to
a
do the
couple
Morgan
other
Freeman
segments.
kind of drawl and the
Oh.
drawing with Dante.
I can't do a Morgan Freeman impersonation. I could do kind of a George Takei, but oh my.
No.
Oh my.
Oh my.
So again, thanks guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully you enjoyed the stream today. All right. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.